on satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Last obstacle. The government printer releases gazette constituting local government members, paving way for mini polls. Intoxicating debate. Topic of beer tax reduction draws mixed views in Parliament during second reading debate of Budget 2018. Flying to the rescue. Minister of Health Dr. Derana says an ambulance service will be introduced. Plotting with Turkey. Former US National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was offered $15 million to forcibly hand over a Turkish cleric to authorities. Strong start. Sri Lanka hits form in warm-up match against India. Bring you news from home and across the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7. Good evening, I'm Katharina Chang. Now on to your top story tonight. Eliminating the last roadblock towards holding local government elections, the Gazette notification pertaining to the number of members in all local government bodies was issued today by the government printer. The Gazette shows a sharp increase in the total number of members of local government bodies. The coast is now clear for the Elections Commission to hold local government elections.
The lack of a Gazette notification on the number of members of local government bodies under the new electoral system was a major obstacle in holding local government elections. Today, however, the government printer released the relevant Gazette notification, which is signed by Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, Faiza Mustafa. According to the new amendment, the total number of local government bodies increases from 336 to 341. The number of municipal councils increases from 23 to 24, while the number of urban councils is unchanged. Due to the establishment of 4 new Pradeshya Sabhas in the Nuwara district, the total number of Pradeshya Sabhas increases from 272 to 276. The Gazette notification also shows an increase in the number of members of local government bodies by 3,870 from 4,486 to 8,356. It is an increase of 86%. The number of municipal council members increased by 51 in the Colombo Municipal Council, 13 in Dehiwala Mount Lavinia and 9 in Sri Jayawardhanapura Kotte. The number of members is increased by 13 in the Moratuwa Municipal Council, 12 in Kaduwala and 4 in Gampa and 16 in Negombo. 11 more members will have seats in the Kandy Municipal Council, along with 4 more in Matale, 1 more in Dambulla and 8 more in Nuwara. The number of members in the Galle, Matara and Hambantota Municipal Councils is increased by 10, 8 and 5 respectively. The number of members is increased by 16 in the Jaffna Municipal Council, 8 in Batiklo, 8 in Anuradhapura, 5 in Badulla, 4 in Bandarawala and 5 in Ratnapura. The number of members in urban councils and Pradeshya Sabhas has also increased across the country. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, says further steps on local government elections will be discussed on the 17th of this month.
Now the ball is in the hands of the Elections Commission. We have already decided that the notice for submission of election nominations will be issued by returning officers from the week starting from the 27th of November. We'll be able to tell the exact date after the Commission's meeting on the 17th. On the other hand, all district officers are wrapping up their duties. The preparation of the electoral register on electorate level is now in its last stages. Its certification can begin within the week beginning from the 20th of November. Anyhow, if nominations are issued around the 27th, 28th or 29th, we display the register a week prior to that. We expect to hold elections on a date between the 25th and the 31st of next January, except on a Sunday. No matter what other issues arise, the election is bearing down upon us like a tsunami. There is nothing to stop it.
Minister of Labour, Trade, Union Relations and Sabaragamu Development, WDJ Seniviratne, says that instead of reducing the prices of beer, the government should reduce the price of certain types of arak instead. He made this remark today on the second day of the second reading debate of the Budget 2018. The day's proceedings commenced with remarks made by the Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champika Ranawaka.
By 2020, our target is to create a 40-60% ratio between direct and indirect taxes. Unfortunately, in this budget, the ratio between direct and indirect taxes remain at a ratio of 18 to 82%. What this means is this budget is based on a policy that puts pressure on the public. Every citizen in this country will have to pay close to 100,000 rupees to settle loans for the following year. We also wish to say that out of this 100,000 rupees, 85,000 rupees will go into the settling of the debts incurred during the Rajapaksa regime.
රාජපක්ෂ පාලනය විසින් ලබාගත් ණය බවත් අපි ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න. දැන් ඔබතුමන්ලා කියනවා මේ අපි ගෙවන්නේ පරණ ණය.
You claim that you're settling past debts and paying for the sins of the Rajapaksa regime. This is not completely true. When we compare the amount of debt over 9 years with that of 2 years, we can imagine the rest. This is not a good start.
එනිසා මේ ආරම්භය හොඳ එකක් නෙමෙයි.
පිළිගන්නවා ප්‍රතිශතය වෙනස් වෙලා නැහැ කියලා ආදායම් බදු පනතක් ගෙනලා තිනවා. ඒක ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනකොට ඍජු බදු ප්‍රමාණය වැඩි වෙයි.
මේ බියර් කෑන් නිෂ්පාදන බදු අඩු කිරීම.
On the reduction of taxes on beer production, I personally do not agree to this because beer is something leisurely consumed by the middle classes in most instances. There is a section of society who we must cater affordable liquor. This is for labourers who work from dawn till dusk. No matter what we say, they look forward to having a shot of hard liquor at the end of the day, and we cannot stop that, which is why I propose it is best to reduce the price of arak, commonly known as gallarakku, to 700 to 750 rupees.
ගල්ලරක්කු මිල රුපියල් 700 අඩු කරන්න කිය.
ඒ වගේම මේ බියර් මිල වැඩි කිරීම.
The reduction of prices of beer will not reduce the consumption of moonshine. Such an idea was put forth during the regime of former President Chandrika Kumaratunga, where they tried to shift the consumption from hard liquor to soft liquor. This did not happen. Instead, beer became the stepping stone towards drinking hard liquor for an entirely different group.
මත්පැන් පානය කිරීම සඳහා පළවෙනි පියවර බියර් වලින් පටන් ගන්න. මම පෞද්ගලිකව
I personally feel that it is good if the prices of beer is reduced because the supply of moonshine as well as other drugs have increased. Even youth who still attend school are addicted to them.
තරුණයන් පවා ඒවට අබ්බැහි වෙලා තියෙනවා.
The joint opposition states that the tax proposed through the Budget 2018 to address the debt and burden and dubbed as the Madamulana tax is in fact a move to recoup losses incurred by the bond scam. Members of the joint opposition, MP Bandla Gunawardena, made the assertion at a media briefing held at the Parliament today.
The government said the public couldn't be given relief through the budget due to debt incurred by Mahinda Rajapaksa. They then taxed the people, saying the contribution of the public is required to overcome it, and dubbed it the Madamulana tax. This is the most cunning scheme used in the recent past to mislead the parliament, the country and its people since President Mahinda Rajapaksa took over the biggest debt in the country's history. The debt the country can sustain is 80% of the GDP. Since this government came to power, the Auditor General says the figure has risen to 83.3% for the first time in history. What this means is when the joint opposition come to power in 2020 or 2025, we have to shoulder this debt. We condemn this. The reason for this tax is that the losses incurred by the bond scam outweighs the income from tax. Therefore, this tax isn't Madamulana tax, but bond tax. The budget proposes the cancellation of the Paddy Lands Act as well as the right of the public towards land owned by the nation. In addition, this budget proposal includes the abolishment of the Shop and Office Employees Act and proposes labour be brought in from overseas.
Meanwhile, various views were voiced on Budget 2018 in the political arena.
This budget issues a clear signal on the future path of the country's economy. That's why we call it a blue-green budget. This is a favourable budget. For whom? The rulers and the bosses. If the prices of rice and coconuts exceed 100 rupees, how can this be a positive budget? Prices and taxes of several consumer items were reduced. The finance minister clearly showed our talent in providing concessions while working towards freeing the country from the debt burden. I'm not part of the good governance regime. That's what was formed on the 8th of January. If the country is to be made prosperous in 2025, they should identify the correct sectors and allocate money accordingly. Who are they trying to fool? They reduce some taxes on onions and sprouts, and within 24 hours they impose yet another tax of 980 billion rupees and claim to have reduced prices. They must have thought that due to the past differences in opinion amongst us, less money would be allocated for me. In contrast, the current finance minister has allocated a historic amount of money for my housing program. A budget must follow a give and take policy. Past budgets were all about people giving without anything to take back. But this budget does not put such a burden on the public.
Deputy Minister of Finance and Mass Media, Lasantha Alagiyawanna, announced that state institutions which are monitored by the Committee on Public Accounts will be interconnected on an online platform. Speaking at a media briefing at the Parliamentary Complex today, the Minister said that the programme will assist in promoting transparency and create efficiency in sharing information.
When we look at the past reports put forth by the Committee on Public Accounts, it is evident that it is impossible to convene all 831 institutions physically which are monitored by us. With the assistance of the Department of Information Systems and Management of the Parliament, we have decided to create a networking platform to connect these institutions with the Auditor General's Department and the Parliament. The Committee of Public Accounts will also categorise all information through this initiative. We also hope to present the finalised accounts of all these institutions in Parliament every year. You will also find on our Parliament website the time and dates in which the committee have met with these institutions. We have given the public the opportunity to provide their complaints or feedback pertaining to the service provided by these institutions to the committee through email. Firstly, these accounts will be put forward to the Auditor General. Thereafter, it will be presented to the relevant officials in the department who will compare the accounts of the department and the institution to find if there are any irregularities. If they find any issue, we will investigate to find the discrepancy in accounts. It is then will the accounts be made available online.
Venerable Alle Gunawangsha Thera states that the country will experience a political change in the coming days. He made the remark at a seminar organised by the Ruhunu Rata Bhikkhu Front in Mathura last evening.
Race and religion of this country is not two, but one. Bhikkhus have been the guardians who protected the country, race and religion across 2,500 years. The struggle of 56 was one of Bhikkhus. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party was formed with the help of 5 forces, empowering the Mahasangha. Some in the party does not remember that. I received certain information as I was coming. A massive political change can be expected in the country in a few days. Minister Vijitha Munisoisa says that Bhikkhus need awareness on the constitution. The Bhikkhus are well versed on these issues. The likes of Ranjan Ramanayaka and Sarath Fonseca are the ones attempting to tutor us. And then Gamini Viyangoda. He only returned to the country after their government came to power. Ranil Wickramasinghe says that we are panicking and a constitution is yet to be prepared. How much from the national wealth have they spent just for the committee report? But still, they say it's not prepared. We know what these shadows mean.
Minister of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine, Dr. Rajda Senaratne says the government has negotiated with a German charity foundation to introduce an air ambulance service in Sri Lanka. He made the remark at an event held in Colombo today. The inaugural Sri Lanka Emergency Medical Congress commenced today under the auspices of the Sri Lankan Society of Critical Care and Emergency Medicine. The event, which brings together experts on the field from home and across the world, was presided over by Minister of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine, Dr. Rajda Senaratne. Addressing the Congress, the Minister of Health discussed efforts to improve emergency medicine.
And we are going to actually bring not only the road emergency care, even by air. We have negotiated with the Steiger Foundation of Germany that we are going to bring some helicopters and risk vehicles and Mercedes-Benz ambulances to add to the Indian ambulance service. However, we are yet to fulfill the country's need for a centralized communication center with properly trained dispatchers. Such a resource would communicate with various emergency services, including the fire brigades and police departments, to offer support in the setting of civilian EMS needs, mass casualties and disaster response activities.
Meanwhile, the ceremony to lay foundation stones for the National Stroke Treatment Centre and the Accidents and Emergency Care Unit at the Mullaeriyawa Base Hospital was held under the patronage of Minister Dr. Vajida Senaratne. Speaking at the event, the Minister outlined future plans for the much-discussed Neville Fernando Teaching Hospital.
How far is it from here to the Neville Fernando Teaching Hospital? It is the most beautiful and best facilitated hospital in Colombo. Even the private sector does not have such a large hospital. All it needs is patience. When the Neville Fernando Teaching Hospital is combined with this hospital, we can convert this into a hospital complex through bringing in more units here. A new OPD will be built. Thus, we will have a teaching hospital for Colombo East. Even the medical faculty will be able to use this.
The 8th annual Dialogue Mega Vasana FM Derana Tax Show saw Sri Lanka's top musicians come together in Bandarawela last night.
Dialogue Mega Vasana FM Derana Attack Show Ada Sundara Bandarawela Puravareta.
Dialogue Mega Vasana FM Derana Tax Show was worked off at the Bandarawela Municipal Council grounds at 9:30 last night.
When the man is a jukebox and then we start to dance and now singing like
Purple Range featuring Seneca Krishman and Sidhua Sakura featuring Ajit Vitanage sent the spectators into euphoria in Bandarawela with their catchy tunes and lighting which use the latest technology. Several famous musicians lit up the stage with their performances as well. Crowds in their thousands were seen enjoying the musical performance Dialogue Mega Vasana FM Derana Tax Show, which was broadcast live across the country on TV Derana and FM Derana. An exchange of gunfire with the police at the Lima Junction in Koggala, Ambalantota, left a person dead. The police headquarters said the incident is the result of a lorry disregarding police orders to halt at a roadblock.
Roadblocks were set up island-wide yesterday under the directive of the IGP in a bid to tackle crime committed at night. The incident occurred around 12:05 am last night at a roadblock set up at the Lima Junction in Koggala within the Ambalantota police area. Police officers at the roadblock attempted to stop a small lorry, however the vehicle drove towards them while 2 shots were fired at police. The police headquarters said the officers on duty responded with several rounds of their own fire. The lorry, however, drove on without stopping and a person claiming to be its driver and another surrendered to Ambalantota police this morning via a legal counsellor. It was revealed that they had been transporting a stock of stolen bananas and a person died during the exchange of gunfire. Police discovered the body of the deceased and the stock of stolen bananas about 2.5 kilometers from the scene of the shooting. Hambantota Chief Magistrate Manjula Karunaratne conducted a magisterial inquest at the scene. The deceased is a 19-year-old area resident.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
The Chinese training vessel Ki Jiguang arrived at the port of Colombo on a goodwill visit yesterday. The Sri Lanka Navy welcomed the visiting ship in accordance with naval traditions upon its arrival. The vessel Ki Jiguang is due to leave Colombo on the 14th of this month. Kiribati police yesterday arrested 3 persons for the possession of 7 kilograms of Kerala marijuana in Hunupitiyavattal area, while another stock of 78 kilograms of Kerala marijuana was found at a shop in Mabula. Police stated that both stocks of marijuana amounts to 5.5 million rupees. 2 people sustained injuries this evening when a lorry travelling from Hatton to Norwood veered off road and went down a 30-foot precipice in Banaraja area of Bogavantalawa in Hatton. Footage of an individual stealing a laptop from a vehicle parked near a building located in Kalaniya-Torana junction, as well as 2 tins of paint, was captured on CCTV.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. It was announced today that countries in the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal have agreed on the core elements to move ahead without the United States after last-minute resistance from Canada raised new doubts about its survival. Taking the agreement forward is a boost for the principle of multilateral trade pacts after US President Donald Trump ditched the TPP early this year in favor of an America First policy, which he believes would save US jobs. The agreement, which still needs to be finalized, would now be called the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Some 20 provisions of the original agreement were suspended. Those included some related to protecting labor rights and the environment, although most were related to intellectual property. Oil prices slipped slightly today as expectations that OPEC and other producers will extend their production cut agreement were offset by US drillers, adding the most oil rigs in a week since June, indicating output will continue to grow.
General Electric Company's Baker Hughes energy service firm says US energy companies added 9 oil drilling rigs this week, the second increase in 3 weeks, bringing the total count up to 738. Brent futures fell 41 cents to $63.52 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude settled down 43 cents at $56.74 per barrel. Earlier in the week, Brent rose to $64.65, its highest since June 2015, and WTI hit $57.92, its highest since July 2015.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
US media report that former US National Security Advisor under President Donald Trump, Michael Flynn, was offered $15 million to help forcibly remove a Muslim cleric from the US and deliver him to the Turkish government, which accuses him of instigating last year's failed coup. The matter is under scrutiny in the broader Justice Department probe led by US Special Counsel Robert Mueller into alleged Russian election meddling.
US media report that former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and his son discussed the alleged plot to remove the cleric Fethullah Gulen with Turkish representatives. Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation is focusing on a meeting in mid-December last year between Flynn and Turkish officials in New York. Flynn reportedly discussed having Gulen transported on a private jet to a Turkish prison island. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has repeatedly called for Gulen's extradition from the US.
US President Donald Trump says his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin felt insulted by allegations of Russian interference in the US election. Trump made the remark after meeting Putin briefly at the start of a leaders' meeting at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Vietnam. The encounter comes in the backdrop of a White House announcement that there would be no formal meeting between the two leaders.
The White House said earlier that no formal meeting was planned because of scheduling conflicts on both sides, though it was possible the leaders would bump into each other. Meanwhile, the Kremlin stated that Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump issued a joint statement on Syria, agreeing to continue joint efforts on fighting so-called Islamic State until the militant group is defeated.
Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull lost his parliamentary majority after another MP was forced to resign amid a political crisis over dual citizenship. Liberal MP John Alexander said he would step aside as he could, quote, no longer maintain the belief, unquote, he only held Australian citizenship. According to Australia's constitution, dual nationals are not allowed to enter the politics. The rule has so far unseated the Deputy Prime Minister and 5 other MPs. Premier Turnbull has ruled out a general election, insisting he has the support of 2 independent MPs. However, his Liberal-led coalition government now has 74 MPs, the same number as the opposition. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news across the world.
Hezbollah's leader alleges that Saudi Arabia had declared war on Lebanon, accusing Riyadh of detaining Lebanon's former Prime Minister Saad al-Hariri and forcing him to resign from office to destabilize the country. Hariri's resignation has plunged Lebanon into crisis, thrusting the small Arab country back to the forefront of regional rivalry between the Sunni Muslim monarchy Saudi Arabia and Shiite Iran. A 28-year-old man deliberately drove his car into a group of people outside a school near Toulouse in southern France yesterday, injuring 3 students. The suspect, who was arrested at the scene, was known to police for committing minor offences and has suffered from psychological problems, but was not on a terrorism watch list. A Bornean clouded leopard and her 2 cubs were captured on camera strolling through a Malaysian forest reserve last week, a rare daytime sighting of the elusive animals in the wild. Only about 700 Bornean clouded leopards remain in the wild and are found only on the Southeast Asian islands of Borneo and Sumatra in a habitat shrunk by poaching and deforestation.
You are watching Sri Lanka's trusted news brand, Other Derana 24/7.
Sri Lankans made a commendable start to their tour of India, with 4 of their batsmen scoring 50s on the first day of their 2-day warm-up match against the Indian Board Presidents 11 in Kolkata. Sri Lanka were 411 for the loss of 6 wickets at stumps. Opener Sadira Samaravikrama and Dimuth Karunaratne added 134 for the first wicket before Karunaratne retired hurt for 50. 2 other senior batsmen, Angelo Matthews and Dinesh Chandimal, were also among the retired hurt list. Matthews, however, scored a half-century before retiring hurt. Samaravikrama went on to top score with a knock of 74 off 77 balls, while Niroshan Dikval stood unbeaten on 59 balls 73. A late comeback by the Sri Lanka Army in the second half against CHNFC last evening saw them registering their first win of the 2017 Rugby League. The Army edged out CHNFC 20-15 at the racecourse grounds.
The second week of the Rugby League kicked off with both CHNFC and Army looking for their first win in the tournament, having lost in the opening week. In an aggressive display, CHNFC led the first half with 15 points with 2 tries, 1 conversion and a penalty. Army could only muster 10 points in the first half but scored another 10 unanswered points in the second with a converted try and a penalty to win the match 20-15.
The 2017 ATP Awards were given out during a star-studded ceremony at the Tower of London recently, with Swiss maestro Roger Federer picking up a trio of trophies, which included the ATP Comeback Player of the Year.
At the ceremony, the Swiss legend was voted the Comeback Player of the Year and the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award, as well as the ATP World Tour.com Singles Fans Favourite. This marks the 13th time and the 7th year in a row that he has been recognized with the Sportsmanship Award.
This one just feels like I share it with Rafa and all the other guys who were also nominated for this award, because we all worked incredibly hard to come back, and we're all happy just to be back. So to get this award, I don't feel like I have it on my own.
The World Anti-Doping Agency stated yesterday that it had obtained a database that confirmed allegations of widespread state-sponsored doping in Russia made in the McLaren report. The McLaren report states that more than 1,000 Russian athletes across 30 sports benefited from state-sponsored doping between 2012 and 2015.
Despite repeated calls for Russia to cooperate with international bodies to stamp out doping, Russian authorities have always denied the state's role in the scandal. The information, however, obtained by WADA's investigations team is a massive breakthrough in the investigation into Russian doping and casts serious doubt about the country's participation in the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang due in February. The doping agency said it had briefed the International Olympics Committee's SCHMID and Oswald commissions, which are conducting investigations into Russian doping. The IOC said it will decide at its executive board meeting, which is due to begin on the 5th of December, regarding the participation of Russian competitors in Pyeongchang.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Let's now cross over to Sadhnu Pekka at the Other Derana Weather Centre.
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. This is your forecast first for the next 24 hours. Tomorrow's temperatures will be higher than usual, averaging at around 28 degrees Celsius in coastal areas, hitting a high of 31 degrees in the south. Cooler temperatures in the low 20s will prevail in the central hills. Widespread showers can be expected during the course of the day, especially in the northern half of the island. That's it from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city-by-city forecast.
And before we go, we'd like to take you to Russia, where a spectacular light show was projected onto the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, illuminating the architecture. Using projection mapping technology, the city's most elaborate light show so far depicted significant events and key figures throughout the history of Russia, as well as the country's landmarks. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.